G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome, everyone. Today I'm interviewing Simon Severino from Strategy Sprints. He's based in Vienna, Austria. Thanks for your time today, Simon.
Troy, thank you for having me. Hello, everybody.
Let's start with how we know each other. Firstly, I get your daily emails, so I feel like I already know you quite well. But your team reached out and thought you might be a good guest to come on the cast.
You know, that's funny because many people say, hey, email doesn't work. Look at this. We have bonded digitally. It works.
I've said it a few times on the cast, but the DMA, Direct Marketing Association in America, publish stats every year of what return you get on which channels you use, etc. And email marketing, one I read a few years ago, was for every dollar that you invest in email marketing, you get $44 back. I think the next best might have been SEO at $22 and then social ads like at $20. So email marketing or email lists are still very, very relevant and alive these days.
Yeah, resonates with me. Our experience is also email list is the number one best asset.
Yep. Tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
So we help B2B teams win. We specialize on agencies. We only work with agency owners of consulting agencies, marketing agencies, PR agencies, SEO agencies, web agencies, design agencies, PR agencies. And they have all quite similar problems. One is the sales time is long, and the other one, it's tough to stay in the business and enjoy growing and scaling the business because sometimes it's just hard to run an agency and it's very competitive nowadays, especially if you run it completely remote like we do it or with a delightfully tiny team, which is smart to do. But then you have to learn it and you can't learn it anywhere. So this is what we do. We help agencies scale, improving sales, improving operations. We use our own method, the Strategy Sprints method, which in 90 days implements core systems, sales systems and operational systems that make it very resilient. And we have created those things over 21 years of being in the field and for our own agency and for our B2B clients. And this is what I do. We are a remote team. We are tiny. We will talk about our sizes and our numbers later. We are a tiny team, fully remote. We're having fun. We are creating a good life for our clients and for our families and for ourselves. We have enough time to enjoy workouts, sports, friendships, adventures, and we like to do business.
That's good. So 2 areas you focus on is improving sales, so the sales cycle coming down, conversions in the funnel, etc., but also the greater efficiency in the operations of the business as well.
Yeah.
And a big part of that, from reading your emails, seems to be helping the owner, the CEO, or the lead salesperson, particularly with focus, with that 90-day sprint. Is that what you find out there? A lot of sales teams in particular, they're like just all over the shop. They're not very focused.
Yes, we talk to the owner because, you know, when you write an email, the best thing is to directly talk to one person. And when we onboard them and start liberating time. So in first month, we want to free up 10 to 14 hours of that person per week because they are usually still in the weeds. They're doing around 1 to 10 million per year in turnover, but the profit rate is low compared to where it can be. And the processes are very manual. So they basically reinvent the wheel with each client. They don't reuse modules a lot. So we want to help them build it once and use it often. So we have to get 10 to 14 hours per time freed up from them right now so that we can build those systems with them. And they are supported by our templates, but they are building themselves into their businesses and we are helping them. So in the first month, we have to free up time. And you cannot do this alone just with the business owner because that's about delegating. So in the second week, we ask them to invite to the sprint team one person from operations, one from marketing, one from sales. And so that becomes now the team of 4, operations, sales, marketing, and owner. And sometimes they say, hey, I just have 3 people. And I say, all right, then I guess you will give them those hats. They will become department heads now. And it's funny in the beginning because you don't think in those departments with a team of 5 people, right? But we say, hey, let's think in these departments. Even if you are a solopreneur, get 3 freelancers and give them those departments, because now they will start reporting as if they were a department. And that is actually, it sounds silly sometimes. It sounds like over administrating, but actually it's not. You are enabling people actually to have an end-to-end responsibility for marketing or for sales or for operations. And that makes their life actually easier, and it empowers them, because now every 7 days they will report with a specific format that we will cover later, I'm sure. And in these 7 days, they will report not just, hey, this is the marketing number of this week. They will also say, and this is what I plan to improve in terms of the marketing system, the process, how we do marketing. So you enable them not just to do their work, but also to improve form, fit, and function of their marketing or sales or operations.
Great. No, very much needed, because especially small teams, business owners are very, very busy and distracted with the whirlwind of the day-to-day. So it's good that you can sit them down and keep them focused on things that are really going to add value. And I'm guessing you also inject in there a lot around automation, particularly the sales process, email sequences, etc., to free up a lot more time.
Yes, all these systems, we love them and we have them ready. It's 274 pre-built, plug-and-play ready systems, like the cold call script, the cold email swipe copy, how you do a cold outreach on LinkedIn. All these things, we are testing them for ourselves all the time and improving them all the time. And we always share the newest, the best converting one with our current clients. And it's fun. That's the creative part. Like, okay, what's the newest, coolest way of doing it that is not salesy? Because as soon as you do stuff like the others do, it's immediately salesy. That's terrible. So we always look at how can we do it fresh, real, how you would talk to a friend, and in their style, in their voice. So we share our structure, but they fill in, of course, their content. And we always try to find a new angle. As soon as the industry is doing something, we try to break out of that mold and find a new way of doing it, a fresh way. And that's the fun part. That's the part that I enjoy most, is this experimentation, rapid experimentation. Can I try a video here? Like right now, we are testing 8 different video campaigns on Facebook. And in 3 days, we will kill 6 of them and we will go with the 2 winners. So we are testing 8 different hooks, entry points, emotional angles to our message. And that's actually the fun part. That's the creative part. And in order to have time for that, I had to fire myself from operations. Because if you are doing the client delivery as the founder, when do you have time to create 8 different creatives, 8 different copy sets? Especially if you are not a born copywriter, like I'm not. But it's okay to write your own copy, because I prefer a mediocre copywriter who is talking from their heart, from their soul. Talking from heart to heart is, I think, much more important than having the perfect copy.
Totally agree. More authentic and better connection.
Yeah.
And how did you start out?
I started I was 21 and I was lucky to enter a global team of strategy advisors operating out of Switzerland. And we would fly, on Monday to New York to do strategy for big brand A, and then go to Paris and merge 2 big brands there. And then from there, I would fly to Shanghai the week after to help a big automobile company with go-to-market, execution. And so I loved it. And for many years, I went from junior consultant to up the ranks pretty quickly. And then I did my own thing. I was ready then. I wasn't fitting perfectly into the corporate lifestyle because I wanted to work out every day. I wanted to have more time with my friends per day, not per week. And so I had just a weekend life and a week warrior life. I didn't like that. And I wanted to be more natural. I wanted to be more in nature. And so the new technology was coming up and I was like, hey, we can build something that's much more natural, like fitting my real life. And my real life is I wake up, I want to do yoga, I want to do running, then I want to do 2 hours of deep work. I don't want any meetings. And then I want to go swimming. And then I want to play with my kids. And then if the sun is shining, I want to just ask my wife, let's get out, let's have some fun. And then if the weather is bad, then hey, let's have some meetings.
Yep. That's
I
good.
want to much more flexible and more around the weather and the current mood and energy. And so I felt like, hey, I have to do my own thing because you can only do this when you are your own boss.
Because you made it to partner in that management consulting firm, didn't you?
Almost partner. So I was 1 centimeter before partner. And then I realized, because, before you become partner in an enterprise, that is a decision. It's like a marriage. You are thinking about the next 5 to 15 years. Do I really want to be here 15 years? And so in that moment, I realized, no, I have to do my own thing. And it might go south, but I have to try.
And so what year was that you decided to jump and start your own thing?
The reason or the process?
No, what year was that?
Oh, that was around 10 years ago.
So 2013?
Yeah, something around that.
And how old were you then when you decided to jump out on your own?
I was in my 20s still.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And do you have some key numbers you can share to illustrate the growth of the business over the last 10 years?
So we started, I was the bottleneck. I was just the consultant. And as a consultant, my limit was I could do per year around 300K. And if I pushed it, I could do 500K. But then my wife, my friends would say, hey, Simon, you don't have a life. We miss you. And so I was like, if I push it, I have no life. Are those 200K really worth it on top? And so that was my limit. That was the point when I realized this business model is broken because I cannot add projects. If I add projects, I am subtracting quality of life. That's not the way it should work. But I want to get past 500K. I don't see a way of doing it with this model. And so I hired a business coach and I asked them, what's wrong here? Something is wrong. I cannot push. If I push, the opposite happens. My life is worse. What am I doing wrong here? And he was straight to the point. He said, you have to get 2 levels above fulfillment, Simon. And I was like, this sounds absolutely correct. But how to do it? And he said, I'm also not super sure, but let's start, right? And I said, okay, let's start. I have no clue, but how to do it? But I think you're right. I'm the bottleneck here. And so basically what we've started doing is mapping a customer journey, so how our customers win, and then mapping a team's journey. What are the core activities that we need to deliver in order to make our clients successful? We mapped them out and we simplified everything into, okay, this is marketing, this is sales, this is operations. And then there is management. And we said, Simon, you are going to do just management and you will hand over those 3 pieces. And I said, it sounds like the right thing to do. I have no idea how to do it, but let's do it. And so he said, first step is get it out of your head. Map it out, map it onto a slide, create a video, write down a process. And so I knew what processes are because my clients do standard operating procedures. And I say, that's the thing. Okay, yeah, I know how to do that. I started literally writing down, this is how I do sales, this is how I do marketing. And it was fun. As soon as I wrote down, this is what I do in sales, this is what I do in marketing, this is what I do in operations, it was off from me. And now I started training it, having first freelancers. I started with a network of colleagues and say, hey, amazing colleagues that you are also freelancer now, come in, join my team, I will teach you how to do it. And so the first round was a network of people and I was teaching them what I do. We came quite far. We doubled revenue in that same year because I wasn't the bottleneck anymore. But now I had another problem. I had a quality problem because it wasn't the same. The client was telling, hey, Simon, when you deliver, it's better than when they deliver. And so I had a quality problem. So how to solve the quality problem? Next business coach, a quality guy. How do I increase the quality here? And so we worked for another 6 months on that. And that became a certification program. So I created a whole Sprint University. And that Sprint University has 274 modules plug and play ready. And every module has a 5 minutes video of me showing how to do it. And then there is a template, which is a spreadsheet or a Google Doc. They download it, they put in half an hour and they do their thing. So my 2 quality problems were, how do I get the delivery of the coaching at highest quality independently of who delivers it? And the second problem was a capacity problem. If you just have a network, the moment you get in a huge project, they don't have the time, because a network has a low commitment and no capacity planning loops. So you don't have calendars together and you actually commit to have time. So I changed that and I said, okay, what do I need to actually coach all coaches daily for the first 60 days and later on weekly? And I said, okay, then I want this to be a revenue stream, because now I'm building something like I'm building it for clients. And so I created a 60 days certification program, and that became then a franchise model, which is now working well. So now I've solved the quality problem. And of course, every year we get new problems. Like right now, every country, we are expanding countries now. Every country has different legal structure, different tax structure. And so every week I'm getting some new challenges in some countries. But it's okay. This is how you grow and learn, right? And in 5 years, if we talk, I will have solved that. I will have the new problem on a higher level. So this is how we grow from year to year.
So you started one full-time equivalent yourself. How many years in did you decide then to bring the freelancers in? And then what's your full-time equivalent team at now?
So we go first, can a software do it? So every day I write down, what am I doing? What will I delegate tomorrow? And so every day I delegate something. And the process is first, can I delegate it to a software, then to a freelancer, then to a full-time equivalent? So my last resort is a full-time person. I go always software, freelancer, full-time, because I want to have a delightfully tiny team that is ultra lean, ultra resilient. I had never to lay off anybody. And, right now, Google, Facebook, Amazon, the best companies are laying off. Apple is laying off. So I never had to do that because of this resilient structure. So even now, after so many years, we have just 4 people on payroll, around 20 people on contract, and another 8 to 12 freelancers that come in and out just for specific tasks. Like one of them does just Facebook optimization, the other one does just YouTube, the other one does just LinkedIn, one does only podcast, etc. So they are very specialized, but it's mainly freelancers. We don't have a physical headquarter. We are fully remote across the globe from Singapore to Los Angeles. So we have almost no fixed costs. Our profit margin, net profit margin, is over 90%.
Oh, that's great.
Because it's mainly software and a small team.
So would you say then you're at about 25 FTE if you include yourself plus the full-time on the payroll and the contractors?
Yeah.
At 25, that's terrific growth. What year did you take on your first freelancer when you decided you can't just do it yourself?
Oh, that was the best decision in my business life. And it was Michelle. So it was a VA from the Philippines. And I was asking around, hey guys, how do you hire a VA? Do you have a VA? Where do I find a VA, a virtual assistant? I was ready for that. Kind of a mix of executive assistant for myself, but also for specific marketing tasks on LinkedIn at that time. That was the best idea ever. And I remember the calculation in my head. And I said, so when should I start? And I said, let's make it a 3-to-1. If in that hour, let's say I pay her $20 an hour. If in that hour I can generate $60, I should do it. So can I generate $60 in an hour? Of course I can. And so I said, it's a no-brainer, let's go. And so the search was a bit complicated, but then I got lucky. And so after 5 tries, number 6 was Michelle. She rocked it. So she started with a contract. That contract became a 20-hour contract, and then now she's doing 50 hours per week. She's in her 6th year, and she's now our head of marketing. Every year she got more responsibility. Now she's hiring marketing people, and she has her own budget. And I sometimes meet people like weeks after she has already onboarded them, and I say, oh, hello, who are you? And say, yeah, I was hired by Michelle. I say, yeah, welcome.
It's great. I've got a team of 6 in the Philippines, 1 in Pakistan. And people ask me sometimes about the difference of what you pay them compared to your local, the country you live in. But it is the cost of living. It's arbitrage. So they are actually earning a great living. And particularly for the Philippines, for them to work from home, it means that a lot of Filipino families, the grandparents actually raise the kids because the parents have to travel to work. Sometimes it can be 4 hours a day commute to work and back. So it's providing a lot in their lifestyle, not only just paying them a bit more than what they would locally, but saving 2 to 4 hours a day in that travel time, and they get to spend more time with their kids. So it's actually a wonderful thing that business owners around the world can do.
It's wonderful. And we are like family. Like we are like 20 times on Slack per day, sometimes even the weekend. We always do stuff and we can rely on each other. I can blindly rely that she runs the marketing, and I can be on a 4 weeks vacation and she got it. She runs it. And she can rely, and this is not even easy because remember, Apple, Amazon, Google are laying off. So if you are an employee of Apple, you cannot rely that you have your job in 3 years. Michelle can actually rely that she has her job in 15 years because we are so resilient. We have almost no costs. So even if the worst case scenario would happen, like 6 months, no sales, which of course never happened. But even if that would happen, let's say everybody gets COVID and we have 0 sales for 6 months, we're super resilient. So she can actually rely that her family is pretty safe for the next 15 years. Who can do that?
Yeah, that's great. Any other key numbers you want to share to illustrate the growth of the business over the last 10 years?
We measure every 7 days our key numbers. And this is something that I would like to propose everybody does. And also we think of doubling. So our number is 100% and we make it a sport. How often can we double? Because it's just fun and it's easy to measure. And so in the beginning, you can double like in 3 months. When you have done that, it becomes a bit harder. So then maybe it takes you a year or 2 years. But we always have that in terms of, okay, can we do it in 8 months? Can we do it in 6 months? And that's a little bit of a North Star. And the tactical number is every week we use the sprint dashboard. So we have 3 habits: daily habit, weekly habit, monthly habit. That's the core of the strategy sprints method. Daily habit, how did I allocate my time today? What will I delegate tomorrow? Weekly habit, the marketing number, sales number, ops number of this week. Marketing number can be something like number of subscribers to the email list this week. Sales number, it's just in euro. Was it 75K this week? Was it 30K this week? Was it 90K this week? And ops number can be the NPS. We did that for 5 years. I think we will talk about NPS also later.
Yep.
We did NPS for 5 years, and now we switched that number because it was very low when we started measuring it. And when we got where we wanted to be, then we said, okay, now it's fine. The product is fine because we have just one product and we have improved that for 3.5 years with NPS and now in weekly sprints. So now it's mature, now it's working. There's not much to improve there. And now we switched the operations number to be number of client referrals. So how many current clients did refer us to other possible clients this week?
That's great. Yeah. When was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
That's fun. I never feel like I'm succeeding, but everybody asks me, Simon, what's like the secret to your success, etc. And I say, I don't even know what success is. To me, life is an exploration and an adventure. And actually every day I have the opposite of success. What's the opposite? I have like mishaps and mistakes, and I'm just doing stuff wrong, taking wrong decisions all the time. So if you ask me, are you successful? I will tell you, hey, in the last 5 hours, I've done 3 mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel. Because the day is basically making many mistakes, but in a rapid fashion. So many small mistakes. So for example, I told you we are running 8 campaigns. 6 of them are losers. I will know in around 5 hours that 6 of them are losers. That I call a mistake. But of course, it's not a mistake. It's controlled learning. It's experimenting. It's measuring. It's build, measure, learn, that famous loop. And that is made just of mistakes. That means you are building a ton of stuff that doesn't work until you hit one thing that works.
Yep.
So do I feel successful? Not at all. I feel like I am building a ton of stuff that doesn't work. But when you look, because I am in tactical day to day, but if you look from the outside and you say, all right, this guy started his company, now it's a global company, and he has 3 kids and he has fun and he works out every day and he seems relaxed and fun to be around, then I guess that's a success story from the outside. Being inside, I just see one mistake after the other and what's next.
What does success look like to you?
I don't know. I think about freedom. Freedom is very important to me. And so freedom in terms of self-expression and how do I conduct my day. So am I free, if the sun is shining to just get out there and bike for 2 hours? Then I'm doing the right things. So for me, it's freedom of self-expression and freedom of exploration on my own terms. If I am there, and of course that whole thing is profitable, so every day creates at least $1 more than I spend, so it's profitable. That combination, freedom, a profitable way of being free, that's probably the nearest thing to my definition of success.
Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business?
Marketing, I would say, do it as the last piece. So first, operations. Make it a really, really good program. If you're a service business, productize it. If you're a product business, build a consulting part into it. So you want always the best of product and service, independently of what you are doing, because you want the scalable component and the repeatable component of a product, but you want the personal component and the high margin component of when you advise, when you consult, because that's where the 90% profit rate is. And that's the fun part. So because if you are getting over 90% profit rate, that means that you just need a few clients. And a few clients means that you really see them. You really cheer them. You really are all in into their success. And if they call you 6 times a day, you are happy because it's working. Otherwise, if you do anything else, when they call you 6 times a day, you go, oh, again, that client. And that's the worst loop. That's why it's quite important that you have a high ticket, high margin offer. And if you don't have that, that you start exploring how you can increase your margin and your ticket size, your price for your offer. And a sprint coach can do that very well with you if you need help. And the reason is you want to deeply care about the people that you're here to serve and actually become better and better and better, understanding them better than they understand themselves, because this is when you become an expert. Now you tell them, hey, this is what's coming for you. This is where you are wasting money and you don't even realize it. Can I show you what we can do? And that's the best sales conversation to have.
Yep. Let's talk about NPS or Net Promoter Score. What's your number?
So we started with NPS like 6 years ago, and it was a terrible number, like 22.
Wow.
I wanted to die on that day. Say, what? 22? How is it possible? But for people who don't use it, it goes from -100 to +100. So 22 is not even that bad, but it's terrible. So for me, it was terrible. And then I Googled, what have other people? And I saw that Harvard had 35. And I say, okay, wait a moment. Okay,
Wow.
we are terrible, but many are terrible. So, okay, let's keep with it. Let's just get 1% better every week.
I mean, getting to positive 50 is a great number. If you get close to 70, especially consistently, that's hard and phenomenal. So yeah, positive 22. And for the audience to learn about Net Promoter Score, I've written a blog post on it. Go to the website and just search in the blog for NPS, N for Nelly. It's not a percentage, and it's one question, measures customer loyalty. I think McKinsey created it in the 90s. So it's how likely are you to recommend us to a friend or colleague between 0 and 10, not 1 and 10. And then there's a formula to work out the positive or negative score. So yeah, sorry, Simon, keep going.
And at 22, I was like, hey, should we quit? Because this is terrible. And then we said, no, we are sprinters. We don't quit. We improve, right? Okay, the goal is, guys, we take this seriously. Every week we will improve this by 1% until we get above 70. That's the goal and that's the plan. Let's go. And so we did it. The first summer was terrible because it took us forever to get to 30. Then we were quicker actually. From 30 to 60, it was easier. And then we plateaued at 60. I think that was now 6 months or 8 months later, and we were in our 60s. And then the final push took us another, I think, 10 months to 11 months to finally get into 69. And then the last push was to 72. And when we got to 72, then I said, all right, we did it. Now it's good.
Simon, that is phenomenal. One, firstly, well done on the incremental, the focus on improvement. But to get into the 60s, let alone 70s, and stay there is just, it's a testament to obviously the products and services that you're delivering. Your customers are extremely happy. Yeah, well done.
Let me share what was the success element. So you can only move actually into your 60s, 70s if you reduce the number of offers. So if you are a service business and you have multiple offers, it's incredibly hard to really improve the offer. So what we did is, hey, let's make it simple. We will have just one offer. So it's a 90 days program. The goal is to double your revenue via one-on-one coaching. So it will be really intense. It's supported by tools. Every 7 days, we will measure the sprint dashboard. So we have 12 times the chance to course correct in one client project. So that will increase the hit rate. And every 7 days, we get feedback. So we know what to improve. And we measure the NPS every 30 days for each client. So 3 times per client, we were measuring. And now with these parameters, now it's realistic and it's easy because you have just one program, you measure every 30 days. And so depending on how many clients you have every 7 days, you can improve something. If you do this for 1 or 2 years, it will be really good. Now, what if we would have said, okay, but we still keep like 17 different offers? Then you can never get to 70.
No.
Because you will burn out.
Yeah, totally agree. How did you fund the business?
Funding, it's bootstrapped. Clients fund the business every day.
So no investors, just yourself owning the business?
No investors. No investors. Maybe if you count the founder at the beginning who had, because of course I had to save something on the side to say, how much runway do I need for the first year? Let's have like a 6 months runway. And so I had that on the side, but we never used it.
If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
I would never want anybody to invest in my business because I don't want anybody to decide. I want us to decide every week based on the data, based on the sprint dashboard. And so I had a client of ours, they are in the VC space. And so we did some pretty good work with them. And then they said, Simon, I'm so happy. How can I help? How much capital can I get you now as a thank you? And I said, 0. And they go, you kidding me? I mean, I can liberate here big budgets onto your business. You can scale it faster. And I said, I don't need to scale faster. I'm happy to scale middle fast.
Yeah.
What's more important to me than the speed of scaling is scaling around the thing that our clients actually tell us every 7 days that they really need. So I want always to have that loop very tight. And so if I take, and this is maybe important for many who are thinking about getting investors in. So what happens when you get investors in? Now you will have to, if it's a good investor, they want at least every 90 days, if not every month, to see cash flow reports, to see what you are doing, and they want to be part of your decision making. Now, maybe you like that, and maybe you need their expertise, or you need them to open specific doors in an industry, and you are very capital intensive, then it might make sense for you. Mm-hmm. But if you are very like 0 capital intensive, like a consulting business, you don't need that.
Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
The most stressful, every day is stressful. Being a small business every day is so stressful. Sometimes I sleep very badly. Like today I was sleeping very lightly. And I don't even know exactly why, but you have a ton of responsibility and there are so many moving parts and 95% is not in your control. I think part of why I was sleeping so lightly is the macro economy is really broken. So if we look at the inflation rate versus the Fed funds rate, it's just not managed well. It's so broken. And so we're just heading into a recession, directly from stagflation to recession without any quality control loop, 0. So it's terrible as a planet and it's terrible for the economy. And 95% of that is not in my control. So that's a pretty stressful thing because you are investing your time, your life into building something, but you are building it in a context that has a ton of headwinds for you right now. So it is stressful. Only do it, only start a business if you are so enamored with it that you cannot think of anything else. Like when you're in love with somebody and you have to be with this person. If it's like that, well then yes. But if it's not, don't take this lightly. This is a very intense journey.
Yeah, a lot of people, I love busting that myth that small business is easy, but that old catchphrase that you get to work the hours you want. And yes, of course, we get to choose when we get to work those 80 hours in the week.
Yeah, exactly. The first 5 years, I had no weekend, basically.
Yeah. Been there, got the T-shirt and the coffee mug.
Exactly.
What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
Operations. So getting this NPS up was the most intense, the hardest part. I had to think of so many things like behavioral psychology, because we want to help people double their revenue in 90 days. So you have to think, of course, what external tools do they need? Like blueprints, swipe copies, scripts, dashboards. So I had to learn how to build helpful tools. That's one skill. The other skill is you have to help them both also overcome their own mindset challenges, increase their energy, tackle bigger problems, hire people. So you have to also think about flow and motivation, intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation. So I had to also to get the psychology part right. Yeah. So I have a background in psychology. It made it a little bit easier, but it's still a challenge. Then I had to think about the energy in 30 days. Where are the peak energy moments? How do you create those wow moments so that they as a team, the team of 4, have more energy and more motivation to continue pushing forward instead of giving up? So there was also the flow, and I had to study team flow and what enables teams to be in flow versus to burn out or to give up. Because the biggest 2 risks for small businesses are first, giving up, so basically burnout, and second is not having a full pipeline. So these 2 main risks, sales pipeline. So these 2 main risks, I had to work on product to get that right, how to create the best conditions for teams to really keep rolling and push forward and not give up, so that it's more fun for them to push forward than to give up. And the second part was around sales pipeline. What can I learn? What can I improve about pipeline management, deal management, sales negotiation? And so I went super deep into the sales topics because that's what our clients needed most. And we have learned a ton about sales in the last years and have created a ton of sales tools for them.
What have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth?
I hate hiring and managing people.
Yep.
It's not my thing. It's not my strength. And now that Michelle and Brenda and others are taking this over, it's so much better because I don't have the patience and I am not an HR kind of guy. I'm too impatient for that. I like to build stuff, test it, and move on. And so I'm very impatient, a little bit too fast and not listening well. I'm just moving on. And so I'm very weak as an HR person. So that's the part that I enjoy the least.
And what do you love most about growing a small business?
The creativity. We get to self-express ourselves every day, to build stuff that's actually needed. Because if it's not actually needed, well, nobody will take it. Nobody will buy it from you. So in the end, you are only building stuff that the world actually needs and actually takes from you. And I didn't have that in an enterprise context. I didn't feel that everything that I'm doing is right now needed by somebody. So now I have this totally. That loop is immediate. You build it, they need it, they take it. You build it, they don't need it, they don't take it, you scrap it.
What has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
Mindset shift was from being the star to being the galaxy. So it's not about my performance anymore. Now is how do I create conditions, systems, culture, performance measurement systems, dashboards, and the spirit in the team so that others now increase their performance.
The number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
The weekly habit. your marketing number, sales number, operations number every week.
Yeah, it's huge. The agile methodology in the software space, that's really early 2000s, that really kicked off, but it's spread to other industries. It's very powerful. That acute focus, short-term focus can yield a lot of great results. Want to become the best manager you can be? Check out our Kick-Ass Manager course at growasmallbusiness.com. Do the course and add your fellow managers for no extra cost. Join the 30%. 70% of people quit their job because of their manager. Can you talk to how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes, and advice for those listening?
I made so many mistakes in hiring because I'm bad at it, but also because it's tough.
Yeah,
so even if you're great at it, it takes so much time. You will pick the wrong people, you pick the right people, and then they hop off your team. It's so complicated. And that's why, again, I hired a hiring coach and we created hiring systems, both before you hire and then when you onboard. So it's two sets of systems that you need. One is for designing the job, posting the job, interviewing them, selecting them. And then the second system is, okay, you have selected them. Now, how do you onboard them, make them productive quickly? So chapter 12 and chapter 13 in the book Strategy Sprints are about those things. Chapter 12, how you design the job and post the job. Posting the job is a marketing activity.
I totally agree with you on that point. Absolutely. Business owners,
not hiring.
They miss that.
It's marketing.
That's right. Because you need to attract the A players to be interested in your business. And a lot of business owners just throw an ad up. They don't really invest the time in the whole recruitment process, but particularly that job ad is vitally important. And your second point there about onboarding, again, they get lazy. They don't think it's important. So they just throw the new team member into the team. I always make a point of, doesn't matter how big the team is I'm managing, not that I've done that for several years now, but I will go out for a coffee that day they start, talk to them about the history of the business, the vision, where we're going, their role, answer their questions, etc. Because I love that saying, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And that is a hugely powerful moment. If you can introduce that new team member to that great first impression, it's going to pay dividends.
Totally. And I'm onboarding a new coach in 2 minutes, literally. So I will have to practice what I speak in 2 minutes.
What are some of the things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with the growth?
The culture is really about how you moderate each meetings and how you deal with variations from standard. So first is, okay, what's the plan? And then every week, how do you deal with variations? Let the people report, I am 1% below plan, or I am 2% above plan, green, yellow, red, green, yellow, red, green, yellow, red. And the way you deal with it, with grace, but also with consistency, that creates the team culture of accountability.
Yep, totally. Accountability is key. Tell our audience how you've handled balance. Sounds like you've nailed that.
I've always been terrible at balance. Right now, it's a bit better because I have 3 kids. I had to learn it.
Yes, yeah, me too.
It's getting better, but I'm definitely the worst to give advice on that.
Yep. How much professional development have you invested in yourself?
A lot. That's the main budget. So every year I have a coach for something that I have to solve. We had the coach for the quality, we had the coach for sales, we had the coach for firing me. Every year I look for who can help me with the one big thing that I have to solve.
Yep, very clever. Have you had mentors or coaches? Apart from the coaches, you've had mentors along the way?
Yes, from learning from the best, like Jay Abraham and everybody I could get a hold on, Clayton Christensen. The mentor of my mentor was Peter Drucker. I did not experience him directly, but I got the manuscripts and the books, and I studied them a lot.
They're brilliant. I mean, he worked with Alfred P. Sloan from General Motors in the 40s, Austrian. Ironically, you're in Austria at the moment.
Yes, Denise.
Brilliant man, absolutely. And I saw on one of your videos, one of your emails, also you got an audience with David Allen from Getting Things Done.
Yes, David has been a long-term partner because we have helped his company scale and he helped us with productivity. So I learned so much about personal productivity and I used the GTD method. It's helpful.
Great book. Awesome book. Do you have a board of directors or advisors?
No.
All right, Simon, on to our final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
Keep rolling, not give up. That's the hardest thing. Not burn out. Never give up. Keep rolling, stay in the game. Capitalism is not about maximizing revenue. It is about what's the minimum in profits that you need to do this week so that you can stay in the game longer than your competitor.
Good advice. Favorite business book which has helped you the most?
Ooh, so many. I like The Power of Moments. Not sure if it's a business book, but it's an amazing book about creating great customer experiences.
Okay, I haven't heard that one, but I'm going to throw that on my list. Any great podcasts or online learning tools you use for your own professional development?
Yes, a lot. Seth Godin, Akimbo, Behind the Money, Financial Times, Chasing Excellence by Ben Bergeron, and All In podcast.
Great. No, that Seth Godin one, I looked that up actually the other day for someone. I thought they asked me for a good marketing podcast and resource, but he talks mainly about culture, not so much about marketing, doesn't he, on that?
He riffs every day something new. He starts with something that's pissing him off, like in life, and then he makes a 10 minutes riff out of that. I love it.
Yeah, he's great. He's such a divergent thinker, isn't he? Just very, very looks at things and thinks about them very differently.
And consistent. Every day he shows up since decades.
One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
A fool with a tool is still a fool. So tools come and go. Rely on processes, like principles and processes.
Final, my favorite question. What would you tell yourself on day one of starting out 10 years ago with strategy sprints?
Just do it, man. Don't overthink. Just do it.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for your time today, Simon. Really enjoyed our chat. I'm sure we could go for a lot longer. The audience got a lot of value out of it. Congratulations to you and the team over the last 10 years. That's phenomenal growth. So well done.
Thank you. People can find the book Strategy Sprints on Amazon, soon even in Chinese. And our website is strategysprints.com. They can find the daily habit template. And I think 15 different templates that we use all the time are open source at strategysprints.com.
Great. We'll link through to obviously the site, but also the book on Amazon as well in the show notes.
Thank you. Keep rolling, everybody.
We're getting some great iTunes reviews. For those listening, please pop over to your podcast app and leave us a review.